chosen ones. Something shifted in the spiritual courtroom that defied every natural law of this realm. The cosmic scales didn't just tilt, they exploded into 1,000 pieces. Reality itself is rewriting its source code because of what you just pulled off. Right now, at this exact moment, your enemies are frantically scrolling through their phones at unholy hours. They're calling lawyers, updating resumes like fugitives running from a crime scene they created. The wildest part, you weren't even trying to destroy them. You were just standing in your power. That power became so undeniable that the universe had no other option but to deliver judgment so severe, their entire bloodline felt it. What I'm revealing today will show you why your silence has become their loudest nightmare. Why your victory doesn't just belong to you but to every underestimated soul who needed proof that divine justice isn't mythology. You became the earthquake that exposed the mountain that was never solid to begin with. Let's talk about what really went down when you stopped playing their rigged game and started operating in your own dimension. They built their entire attack strategy on one fatal miscalculation. Your silence looked like weakness to them. Your patience felt like submission. Your stillness read as surrender. But what they couldn't perceive was that every single moment of their mockery was being archived in a cosmic database that never forgets and definitely doesn't show mercy to people who abuse the innocent. While they were laughing at family gatherings and spreading lies in group texts, you were doing something completely unexpected. You were learning, not just studying their patterns and weaknesses. You were learning the actual language of justice itself. Every legal document they assumed you'd never touch became your textbook. Every loophole they thought was buried became your secret weapon. Every lie they believed was hidden became evidence in a case they didn't even know existed. The beautiful twist is you never announced your education. You never threatened them with your growing knowledge. You absorbed everything like a storm gathering strength in complete silence. When the moment finally arrived, when they pushed you past the point of return, you didn't explode outward, you imploded inward, and became something they had zero defense against. You became unstoppable precision wrapped in deadly calm. Now understand what happened in that exact moment when you finally acted. This wasn't just a legal victory on paper. This was spiritual warfare manifesting in a physical courtroom. You brought weapons they didn't know existed. You walked into that space carrying the accumulated pain of every injustice they ever served you. But you had transmuted that pain into something far more dangerous than rage. You turned it into absolute clarity. They arrived with their rehearsed lies and prepared testimonies. They wore confident smirks, thinking this would be another easy win, another chance to humiliate you publicly and walk away with everything they stole. But the second you opened your mouth, the entire temperature shifted. Not because you were loud or theatrical. Truth has a frequency that cuts through deception like light through darkness. Every word you spoke carried the weight of divine authority backing it. Every piece of evidence you presented wasn't just documentation, it was prophecy fulfilling itself in real time. You weren't defending yourself against their accusations, you were revealing them as the frauds they always were. The universe was taking detailed notes for permanent record. The judge didn't just rule in your favor. The judge looked at what you presented and realized they were witnessing something that transcended normal legal proceedings. This was cosmic justice, using the courtroom as its stage. You were its chosen instrument of divine retribution. The moment that gavel came down, reality shifted for everyone who ever underestimated you. Your win didn't just affect the people you were fighting. It sent shockwaves through every relationship, every family connection, every social circle that ever witnessed their treatment of you and stayed silent. Suddenly people who claimed neutrality were forced to pick sides retroactively. They had to confront the uncomfortable reality that they watched injustice happen and did nothing. Your victory became a mirror showing them their own cowardice. That's a reflection most people can't stomach looking at directly. Family members who enabled your tormentors started receiving phone calls demanding explanations. Friends who looked away when you were being destroyed found themselves in awkward conversations about loyalty and integrity. Even strangers who heard about your case started questioning their own assumptions about power dynamics and who really deserves to win. But here's the most satisfying part. Your enemy's allies started abandoning ship faster than rats fleeing a sinking vessel. People who were ride-or-die supporters suddenly developed convenient amnesia about their involvement. The same voices that encouraged your tormentors to push harder were now claiming they always thought you were right. Recognize the beautiful irony of how your silence became louder than their screams. Throughout this entire ordeal, they tried controlling the narrative by being the loudest voices in every room. They spread rumors, made wild accusations, painted themselves as victims of your alleged crimes against family harmony. They wanted everyone seeing you as the problem, the troublemaker, the ungrateful relative who couldn't just go along to get along. But here's what they never understood about chosen ones like you. Your silence wasn't submission, it was preparation. While they burned energy on drama and theatrics, you were conserving yours for the moment that actually mattered. They mistook your strategic restraint for weakness. You were really loading the gun they'd eventually watch you fire with surgical precision. The beauty of your approach was letting them exhaust themselves fighting shadows while you built an unshakable case in reality. Every accusation they threw at you in public became evidence of their instability. Every lie they told about your character became proof of their lack of character. Every attempt to isolate you from family support backfired when people started noticing the patterns. Your silence forced them to become the very thing they accused you of being. They called you dramatic while throwing tantrums. They called you manipulative while orchestrating elaborate schemes to turn people against you. They called you untrustworthy while lying about documented facts. Your refusal to participate in their circus didn't just preserve your dignity, it highlighted their complete absence of it. Silence, when wielded by someone with your level of spiritual power, becomes a weapon of mass destruction. Every time they expected you to defend yourself and you didn't, your silence grew heavier. Every time they tried provoking a reaction and got nothing, their own words started echoing back at them like accusations. Your refusal to engage wasn't weakness, it was strategy. You understood something they never could. People who are truly guilty can't handle being ignored. They need constant validation, constant attention, constant proof that their version of events is being accepted. When you denied them that validation through your silence, you forced them to become more and more extreme until they eventually revealed themselves as the unhinged ones. By the time you finally spoke in that courtroom, your silence had given your words the power of thunder. Every statement carried the accumulated weight of months or years of restraint. You weren't just presenting evidence. You were releasing a dam of truth that had been building pressure behind your quiet demeanor. In the cosmic accounting system, every injustice creates a debt that must eventually be paid. Your tormentors thought they could keep withdrawing from your emotional bank account without facing consequences. They thought your kindness was weakness, your forgiveness was stupidity, your patience was infinite. But the universe doesn't operate that way. Every time they took advantage of your good nature, they were digging their own graves deeper. Every lie they told about you was being recorded in a ledger they couldn't see. Every time they celebrated your pain, they were adding interest to a debt they'd eventually pay with compound penalties. Your victory wasn't random good fortune. It was the universe balancing its books with interest. All those times they should have been held accountable and weren't. That debt was accumulating, growing, waiting for the perfect moment to be collected. When that moment arrived, it wasn't just about getting even. It was about receiving everything they owed you, plus damages for the time you spent waiting for justice. The beautiful part is you didn't have to calculate any of this consciously. You just had to trust that your pain mattered to something bigger than yourself. You had to believe that justice might be delayed but would never be denied. Your faith in that process is exactly what gave you the strength to endure until your moment arrived. Before your victory, the unspoken rule in your family or social circle was that nice people finish last. Bullies got their way. Manipulators won through persistence. Truth was whatever the loudest person claimed it was. But your win shattered those assumptions permanently. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it. You proved that quiet strength is more powerful than loud aggression. You demonstrated that patience isn't passivity when it's backed by preparation. You showed everyone that the person who seems to be losing might just be playing a longer game than anyone else realizes. Now every future conflict in your sphere of influence will be measured against your standard. People who try using the old tactics of intimidation and manipulation will find themselves facing opponents who remember what you accomplished. Your victory became a template, a proof of concept that inspired other underdogs to stop accepting defeat as inevitable. The bullies who used to rule through fear now have to consider the possibility that their current victim might be another you in disguise. The manipulators who thrived on people's desire to avoid conflict now face opponents who understand that some battles are worth fighting, especially when divine justice is on your side. Let's examine how your enemy's panic reveals the true scope of what you accomplished. Their frantic calls to lawyers, their desperate attempts to discredit your victory, their claims that what you did can't be legal, all of this exposes something crucial about the nature of your win. You didn't just beat them at their own game, you revealed that they never understood the game they thought they were playing. They assumed power belonged to whoever could lie most convincingly, manipulate most effectively, or intimidate most successfully. They built their entire worldview around the belief that might makes right, and that good people are just naive fools waiting to be exploited. Your victory didn't just prove them wrong, it proved they'd been living in a fantasy world where consequences don't exist. Their panic isn't really about the money or property they lost. It's about the existential crisis your win created in their understanding of how the world works. If someone like you can defeat someone like them, then everything they believed about power dynamics was wrong. If justice can strike this precisely, this devastatingly, then they're not as untouchable as they thought. The calls to authorities, the claims that your victory was somehow illegal, the desperate searches for loopholes that might invalidate your win, all of this is the sound of people who just discovered the universe has been keeping score all along, and their account is seriously overdrawn. Recognize the prophetic nature of what happened when you finally claimed your power. This wasn't just a legal victory or a family dispute resolution. This was a cosmic demonstration of what happens when a chosen one stops hiding their light and starts walking in their full authority. Every chosen one goes through a period of testing where the universe allows them to be underestimated, overlooked, and undervalued. This isn't cruelty, it's preparation. Those difficult experiences aren't punishments, they're training for the moment when your true power needs to be revealed. Every injustice you endured was building your capacity for the justice you'd eventually deliver. Your enemies thought they were breaking you, but they were actually forging you into a weapon of divine retribution. Every tear you cried in private was being collected as evidence. Every moment of pain you endured in silence was being recorded as testimony. Every time you chose forgiveness over revenge was being noted as proof of your character and your worthiness to wield true power when the time came. When you finally moved from your position of hidden strength, it wasn't random timing. It was prophetic fulfillment. The universe had been waiting for you to be ready, not just legally or emotionally, but spiritually ready to handle the level of victory you were about to receive. Your win was so complete, so devastating, so undeniably righteous that it became a sign and wonder for everyone who witnessed it. Understand how your victory created a new category of fear in the minds of people who make their living by exploiting others. Before your case, predators operated under the assumption that their victims would always be too broken, too poor, too scared, or too isolated to fight back effectively. Your win destroyed that assumption and replaced it with a terrifying new possibility. What if the next person they target is another you? That fear is spreading through networks of people who recognize the patterns of behavior that led to your tormentor's downfall. Workplace bullies are second-guessing their tactics. Family manipulators are being more careful about who they target. Social predators are wondering if their current victim might be quietly building a case against them. Your story has become a cautionary tale being whispered in corporate boardrooms, family gatherings, and social circles across multiple degrees of separation from your actual case. People who have never heard your name are modifying their behavior because they've heard some version of what happens when you push the wrong quiet person too far. The beautiful irony is, You've created more justice in the world simply by demonstrating what's possible. Your victory didn't just protect you, it's protecting people you've never met by making their potential abusers think twice before acting. You've become a ghost in the machine of social dynamics, a reminder that consequences exist even when they're delayed. In toxic family systems, there's always one person designated to carry all the blame, absorb all the dysfunction, and serve as the target for everyone else's unresolved trauma. You were chosen for that role, not because you deserved it, but because you had the strength to survive it. The cruel irony is they picked you precisely because you had the qualities they lacked. Your empathy made you an easy target for their manipulation. Your integrity made their lies seem more believable by contrast. Your willingness to see the good in people made you vulnerable to their exploitation. They weaponized your virtues against you, turning your greatest strengths into what they believed were your greatest weaknesses. But what these dysfunctional systems never account for is what happens when the scapegoat evolves beyond their assigned role. You weren't supposed to learn. You weren't supposed to grow. You weren't supposed to develop the skills and knowledge necessary to expose the entire system for what it really was. You were supposed to stay broken, stay grateful for scraps, stay convinced that you deserved whatever treatment you received. Your transformation shattered the entire family mythology. You revealed that the problem child was actually the truth teller. You proved that the troublemaker was actually the one person willing to hold everyone accountable. You demonstrated that the black sheep was actually the white knight who'd been disguised by their projection and gaslighting. The most devastating part of your evolution was how you turned their own weapons against them. They taught you about manipulation by manipulating you, so you learned to recognize and counter their tactics. They showed you how lies work by lying to you, so you became an expert at documenting truth. They demonstrated the power of legal systems by threatening you with them, so you mastered those systems better than they ever did. Now they can't maintain their comfortable delusions anymore. Every family gathering becomes a reminder of their defeat. Every attempt to rewrite history crashes against the undeniable evidence of your victory. They can't go back to the old dynamic, because you've permanently altered the power structure through your triumph. Your enemies spent years perfecting their manipulation tactics, their gaslighting techniques, their ability to make you question your own reality. They became experts at emotional terrorism, knowing exactly which buttons to push to keep you off balance and reactive. But something shifted in your consciousness during your period of silence. You stopped taking their bait. You stopped defending yourself against accusations designed to trap you in endless circular arguments. You stopped trying to convince people who had already decided you were guilty of crimes you never committed. Most importantly, you stopped caring whether they understood your perspective or validated your experience. This shift created a unique form of psychological terror for them. People who derive their power from emotional manipulation become completely helpless when faced with someone who simply refuses to be manipulated. Your emotional unavailability to their tactics didn't just frustrate them, it exposed them. When they couldn't get a reaction from you, they had to increase the intensity of their attacks, which made their true nature visible to everyone watching. Your detachment became their kryptonite. Every time they tried pulling you into their drama, and you simply observed their behavior without engaging, they lost a little more power. Every time they expected you to fight back and you just documented their actions instead, they revealed themselves as the aggressors they'd always been while claiming to be victims. By the time you walked into that courtroom, you weren't just armed with evidence. You were armed with the kind of emotional clarity that comes from months or years of watching your enemies destroy themselves while trying to destroy you. Their desperation had made them sloppy. Their anger had made them careless. Their certainty that you'd never fight back had made them overconfident. Understand the deeper implications of how your reputation has been transformed from liability to legend. Before your victory, your name was whispered in family circles as a cautionary tale about what happens when someone doesn't know their place. You were the example they used to teach other family members about the consequences of stepping out of line, speaking up about injustice, or refusing to accept abuse quietly. But now your name carries completely different energy. When people hear your story, They don't think about compliance or submission. They think about the possibility that justice might actually exist, that good people can win, that standing up to bullies isn't automatically a losing proposition. You've become the proof that David really can defeat Goliath when he's fighting with divine authorization. The shift in how people perceive you goes beyond mere respect. There's an element of awe in how your story is told now. People don't just admire what you accomplished, they're slightly intimidated by the level of precision and patience it took to execute such a complete victory. You've become the kind of person others are careful not to cross. Not because you're cruel or vengeful, but because you've proven that you have access to a level of justice that most people can't even imagine. Your enemy's children are growing up hearing modified versions of your story as cautionary tales about treating people with respect. Their friends are using your case as an example of why it's important to think twice before betraying someone's trust. Even their lawyers are telling other clients about the importance of being honest in legal proceedings because of what happened when they tried to lie their way to victory against you. The moment you chose to act wasn't just about having enough evidence or feeling emotionally ready. It was about the universe aligning circumstances in such a way that your victory would have maximum impact and create the most lasting change. Think about all the factors that had to come together perfectly for your win to be as complete as it was. The right judge had to be assigned to your case. The right evidence had to surface at the right time. Your enemies had to make exactly the right mistakes to expose themselves completely. The social and cultural climate had to be ready to support your type of victory rather than dismiss it as an anomaly. None of this was coincidence. This was divine choreography at its finest. The universe had been positioning all the pieces on the chessboard for months or years, waiting for you to be ready to make the moves that would result in checkmate. Your victory wasn't just about getting justice for yourself. It was about demonstrating to the world that cosmic justice is real, active and available to anyone with the faith and patience to wait for divine timing. The precision of how everything unfolded proves this wasn't just about legal strategy or having better lawyers. This was about spiritual authority manifesting in the physical realm. You became a conduit for the kind of justice that transcends human systems and touches the realm of divine intervention. Your enemies weren't just fighting you, they were fighting the cosmic forces that had decided their time of reckoning had arrived. One of the most powerful aspects of your win is how it extracted you from the toxic system completely. You're no longer trapped in the cycle of hurt and retaliation that defines their relationships with each other. While they're still arguing about who was right, who was wrong, and how to salvage their damaged reputations, you've moved on to an entirely different level of existence. You're not thinking about revenge anymore, because you've already received justice. You're not plotting their downfall because they've already fallen. You're not waiting for apologies because you no longer need their validation. This emotional freedom is perhaps more valuable than any financial settlement you received. You've been liberated from the exhausting work of trying to make dysfunctional people understand their dysfunction. You've been released from the impossible task of getting narcissists to acknowledge their impact on others. You've been freed from the futile effort of expecting basic human decency from people who have proven themselves incapable of providing it. Your enemies are still trapped in the same patterns that led to their defeat. They're still blaming others for their problems, still lying to themselves about their role in creating conflict, still believing they can manipulate their way out of consequences, but you've transcended their reality completely. You exist in a space where their opinions don't matter, their approval isn't needed, and their presence isn't required for your peace of mind. Let's talk about the responsibility that comes with the level of spiritual authority your victory has revealed. When chosen ones demonstrate this kind of power, it's not just for their own benefit, it's to serve as a beacon for others who are still trapped in situations similar to what you escaped. Your story is being whispered in support groups, shared in therapy sessions, and referenced in spiritual communities as proof that standing up to abuse is not only possible, but divinely supported. People who have been gaslit into believing they're the problem are finding courage in your example. Individuals who have been convinced they're too weak to fight back are discovering strength they didn't know they possessed. But here's what makes your victory even more significant. You didn't just win for yourself, you broke generational curses that had been passed down through bloodlines for decades. The pattern of abuse, manipulation and scapegoating that defined your family's dynamic stops with you. Your children and their children will grow up in a reality where standing up for yourself isn't just possible, it's expected. You've rewritten the family legacy from one of toxicity and dysfunction to one of justice and accountability. Future generations will hear stories about the ancestor who refused to accept injustice, who stood up to bullies, who proved that good people can win when they're fighting with divine backing. Your name will be remembered not as a cautionary tale, but as an inspiration. The ripple effects of your courage extend far beyond your immediate family. Every person who witnesses your transformation becomes a little braver in their own battles. Every individual who sees your victory starts believing that their own justice might be possible. You've become living proof that the systems designed to protect the powerful can be used to empower the powerless when someone has the wisdom to learn how they work. But with this influence comes the obligation to use your platform wisely. Your victory has given you credibility that extends far beyond the specific circumstances of your case. When you speak about justice, people listen. When you share insights about overcoming adversity, people take notes. When you demonstrate what healthy boundaries look like, people pay attention. The universe didn't just give you this victory for your personal satisfaction. It gave you this victory to demonstrate what's possible when someone refuses to accept injustice as permanent. Your success is a teaching tool for every chosen one who's still in the early stages of their journey from victim to victor. They need to see that transformation is possible, that justice is available, that good people really can win when they're fighting with divine backing. Your silence in victory has become more powerful than any words of triumph could have been. In a culture that celebrates loud success and public vindication, your decision to disappear into quiet contentment has created a different kind of impact. Your refusal to gloat, to give interviews, to write tell-all books about your experience has made your victory more mysterious and therefore more powerful. People respect loudness, but they fear quietness when it comes from someone who has proven their ability to create devastating consequences. Your silence suggests depth, planning, confidence, and the kind of self-assurance that doesn't need external validation. It implies that your victory was so complete, so satisfying, that you don't need to talk about it to feel good about it. They can't prepare for what they can't predict. Your silence makes you completely unpredictable. They don't know if you're planning additional legal action, if you're satisfied with what you've already accomplished, or if you're simply enjoying watching them destroy themselves through their own paranoia. Your silence also protects your peace in ways that public celebration never could. You've avoided the trap of becoming defined by your conflict. You've refused to let your identity be consumed by your victory over them. Instead, you've preserved your energy for building the life you actually want, rather than spending it on continued engagement with people who no longer deserve access to your attention. The eternal truth about what you've become and what this victory means for every chosen one who's still waiting for their moment is that you are no longer just a person who won a legal case. You've become a living symbol of divine justice in action, proof that the universe has been listening all along and keeping perfect records of every injustice. Your story will outlive you because it carries a message that transcends your individual circumstances. Every time someone tells the story of how you walked into that courtroom with nothing but truth and walked out with everything that was rightfully yours, they're really telling a story about the power of faith, patience, and strategic silence. You've joined the ranks of legendary figures who transformed their pain into power and their persecution into victory. You're not just inspiration for other chosen ones, you're their proof of concept. When they're going through their own period of testing, when they're wondering if justice will ever come, when they're tempted to give up on their dreams of vindication, they'll remember your story and find the strength to endure. But here's the deepest truth about what you've accomplished. This victory wasn't just about getting back what was stolen from you. It was about stepping fully into your role as a chosen one and accepting the responsibility that comes with that level of spiritual authority. You've been promoted in the cosmic hierarchy. Your next chapter isn't about looking backward at defeated enemies. It's about looking forward to the greater purposes your proven character has qualified you to serve. Chosen one, your silence isn't empty now. It's pregnant with possibility. Your stillness isn't passive anymore. It's the calm of someone who knows their power and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. You've become the living embodiment of the truth that chosen ones don't just survive their trials, they transform their trials into training for the greater victories that await them. The authorities they're calling, let them come. They'll find nothing but evidence of divine justice in action. They'll leave more convinced than ever that some victories are so righteous, so perfectly timed, so completely justified that they transcend human law and touch the realm of cosmic truth. You didn't just win, you won. That victory lives in you now, like an eternal flame that can never be extinguished by anyone who lacks the spiritual authority to challenge what the divine has established. You are the proof. You are the answer. You are the reason they'll never underestimate a quiet chosen one again. What most people don't understand about the kind of victory you achieved is that it wasn't created in the courtroom. It was created in the thousands of small moments when you chose restraint over reaction. Every time they provoked you and you walked away instead of engaging, you were building spiritual credit in an account they couldn't see. Every time they expected you to crumble and you simply got stronger in silence, you were stacking evidence in a realm beyond their comprehension. The courtroom was just where the physical world finally caught up to what had already been decided in the spiritual dimension. Your enemies were fighting a battle that was already lost before the first lawyer was even called. The transformation that occurred within you during your darkest moments is something they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to understand and failing. They watched you go through hell and somehow emerge as gold instead of ash. They saw you lose everything they thought mattered and somehow become richer in the ways that actually count. This broke their understanding of how the world works. In their minds, suffering is supposed to destroy people, not refine them. Pain is supposed to make people bitter, not better. But you defied their entire framework of reality. You took every weapon they used against you and turned it into armor. You took every wound they inflicted and let it become wisdom. Your victory exposed something they never wanted to face about themselves. Deep down, beneath all their bravado and confidence, they always knew they were frauds. They always suspected that their power was built on deception rather than genuine strength. Your win confirmed their worst fear about themselves, that they're actually weak people who only appeared strong because they'd never faced real opposition. The moment they encountered someone with authentic power backed by divine authority, their false strength crumbled like sandcastles against a tsunami. Now they have to live with the knowledge that everything they thought made them powerful was actually just smoke and mirrors. The way you documented everything they did was nothing short of brilliant strategic warfare. While they were performing for an audience they thought they controlled, you were creating a permanent record they didn't even know existed. Every text message they sent thinking it would disappear became evidence. Every email they wrote assuming you'd never use it against them became ammunition. Every witness to their behavior that they thought they'd charmed or intimidated became potential testimony. You were playing chess while they were playing checkers. You were building a case while they were building castles in the air. The gap between your level of strategic thinking and theirs was so massive that the outcome was inevitable once you decided to act. There's something profoundly poetic about how the very systems they used to threaten you became the instruments of their destruction. They loved to mention lawyers and courts when they thought it would intimidate you into compliance. They weaponized legal terminology to make you feel small and powerless. But what they didn't anticipate was that every time they threatened you with the legal system, they were actually teaching you to respect and understand that system. You took their threats as a curriculum. You studied what they meant to use as a cudgel. By the time you walked into court, you knew that system better than they ever did. Their own weapon became the sword you used to cut them down. The spiritual principle at work in your victory is one that operates throughout all of creation. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Every ounce of pain they inflicted on you didn't disappear into nothing. It was being converted into a different form of power. The universe was taking their negative energy and recycling it into fuel for your triumph. This is why your victory felt so complete and so righteous. It wasn't just you winning and them losing. It was cosmic balance being restored. It was karmic debt being collected with interest. It was the fundamental law of the universe asserting itself through your specific situation. You became the living proof that what goes around really does come around, and when it comes around through a chosen one, it hits with the force of divine judgment. Your enemies are discovering something terrifying about the nature of chosen ones. When you push someone who has divine backing past their breaking point, you don't break them, you activate them. You flip a switch that cannot be turned off. You awaken something that was dormant, and once awakened, it cannot be put back to sleep. They thought they were dealing with an ordinary person who would eventually break under enough pressure. They didn't realize they were actually dealing with a sleeping giant who was just waiting for the right reason to open their eyes. Your victory was the sound of that giant finally standing up. The ground shook, the mountains trembled. Reality itself had to adjust to accommodate the level of power you stepped into. What's happening to them now in the aftermath of your victory is a kind of slow-motion destruction that's almost more devastating than immediate consequences would have been. They have to wake up every single day knowing they lost to someone they underestimated. They have to face their reflection knowing they're not as smart, not as powerful, not as protected as they thought they were. They have to interact with family members who now see them differently. They have to navigate social situations where everyone knows they got completely destroyed by the person they used to mock. This psychological torture is the gift that keeps on giving. Your victory isn't just a moment in time, it's a permanent wound in their ego that will never fully heal. The way other people in your life responded after your victory revealed who they really were all along. Some people who you thought were neutral suddenly became your biggest supporters, claiming they always believed in you. Others who you thought were friends revealed their true allegiance through their silence or their attempts to diminish your achievement. Your victory became a sorting mechanism that separated authentic relationships from transactional ones. The people who genuinely cared about you celebrated your justice without qualification. The people who were only around for what they could get from the relationship suddenly had reasons why your win wasn't really that impressive, or why you should have handled things differently. These reactions gave you clarity about who deserves continued access to your energy and who needs to be loved from a distance. Your story is being used in ways you'll never fully know about. Someone right now is sitting in a lawyer's office considering whether to pursue justice against their abuser, and your story is the reason they're finding courage. Someone is enduring mistreatment in their family and remembering that you survived and won, which is giving them hope to endure their current trial. Someone is being gaslit by a manipulator and thinking about how you documented everything, which is inspiring them to start creating their own paper trail. The impact of your victory ripples out through space and time in ways that are impossible to measure, but are absolutely real. You've become a beacon that's guiding other ships safely through storms you've already navigated. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks, while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. The level of patience you demonstrated throughout this entire process is something that separates chosen ones from ordinary people. Most people would have reacted immediately when provoked. Most people would have sought revenge as soon as they were hurt. Most people would have engaged in the drama instead of rising above it. But you understood something that only comes through divine wisdom, that timing is everything. that premature action leads to incomplete victory, that the universe needed time to arrange all the pieces perfectly before your moment could arrive, your ability to wait without losing faith, to endure without becoming bitter, to prepare without announcing your intentions. This is what made your victory inevitable and absolute. There's a specific kind of fear your enemies are living with now that's different from normal fear. It's not fear of what you might do next, although that's part of it. It's fear of what your victory represents about the nature of reality itself. If someone they completely underestimated can rise up and destroy them so thoroughly, then their entire understanding of how power works is wrong. If divine justice is real enough to manifest in a courtroom, then they have to reconsider every other spiritual principle they dismissed as superstition. If karma actually exists and actually works, then they have to face the terrifying reality that their other misdeeds might also be accumulating consequences they can't see yet. Your victory didn't just defeat them in one situation. It shattered their entire worldview and left them living in a reality where they're no longer safe from accountability. The silence you've maintained after your victory is teaching a masterclass in power that most people will never understand. Weak people need to announce their victories to feel validated. Insecure people need to rub their wins in their enemies' faces to feel satisfied. But you've demonstrated the kind of quiet confidence that only comes from knowing your power is real, permanent, and doesn't require external validation. Your silence says more than any victory speech ever could. It says you're so far beyond them now that engaging with them further would be beneath you. It says your peace is more valuable than any continued conflict. It says you've already moved on to bigger and better things while they're still stuck processing what happened. This restraint in victory is actually more intimidating to them than any gloating could ever be. The greatest gift your victory gave you wasn't the material compensation or the public vindication, although those matter. The greatest gift was the absolute certainty about who you are and what you're capable of when pushed to your limit. You now know without any doubt that you have the strength to endure unimaginable pressure without breaking. You know you have the wisdom to transform pain into power. You know you have the strategic mind to outmaneuver people who underestimate you. You know you have access to divine favor that operates beyond human understanding. This knowledge about yourself is a treasure that no one can ever take from you. It's armor that will protect you in every future battle. It's a foundation that will support every future victory you're destined to achieve as you continue walking in your purpose as a